What's up guys, Billy from Wind Toys here, and today I want to talk to you guys about the new 360 XR from Hobie and some of the differences between it and some of the previous model year 360s. Let's get into it. Alright, so first we should talk about what didn't change. So the boats are very similar. The design and the hull shape is exactly the same on previous model 360s and the brand new XR. They use the same seat, they have the same storage, same capacity, same hatch configuration, and they have the same steering configuration. I want to point out too, they use the same exact drive. The drive was upgraded a few years ago on the 360 model, and we saw warranties come down a lot after they upgraded the drive, but they use the same drive as last year's. What changed was the drive well. So this is a previous model, Pro Angler 360. And you can see it has this black blow molded insert that is held into the well with 3 bolts. So there's one at the back, one here, and one here. And that holds your drive in. It also housed your clutch mechanism, and it also holds in the lock for your 360 drive. On the new XRs, they have gotten rid of the blow molded well. And the well is closer, in my opinion, to like a 180 well, where it's just molded into the boat. And then you can see we've got some stainless inserts in the well to hold the drive, adding reinforcement. And then the lock is its own separate piece here. And it's actually held in, the locking mechanism is held in with 2 screws rather than 1 like the previous one was. And they've also added inside the plastic in the boat bigger reinforcement plates to make this well stronger. And then your clutch mechanism is kind of out in the open, and it is not housed behind anything, and it is held in with this reinforcement plate on the side here. And the clutch mechanism is really the big change, and how you adjust the belt tension on this boat is the big change. And so we'll talk about that next. So before we talk about the new XR system, I think it's important that we talk about the older systems and how they worked. So the 360 system, how it works is it is a belt-driven system. There is a belt that goes in a tube inside the boat, and here's one out of a boat here, and it runs around a gear head up here in the drive well, and then around a gear head that's below your handle. So when you rotate the 360 handle here, it's moving a belt in line in here, which is in turn moving your gears, just like that. And what happens when we see belt failures, which we do see in our store from time to time, it's usually because that belt system got too loose. So when you get a loose belt system, it gets slack in the system. What'll happen is that belt will wrap around and get pinched on itself. So if you can imagine, the belt wraps up and around here and goes around a gear system, and there's some guides in there, and it can get caught up in here if there's too much slack in the system. And when it gets caught up in there, it pinches that belt really tight. And what can happen is if that belt gets pinched extremely tight, it'll lock your handle system up. And a lot of folks will just force it, which they'll break the belt then. But even if they don't force it and they go back the other way, get everything untangled, and then they bring the kayak into me and I adjust the belt, they have pinched that belt so tight, they have broken the fibers on the inside. So more than likely down the road, they're gonna break that belt. We're gonna have to replace the system. Hobie's really good if your boat's under warranty. They send us the system. We're really good at replacing them now. I can do it pretty quickly, and we'll get you back on the water as quickly as possible. But it is something they wanted to address in the XR to try to bring the amount of belt failures down. So to adjust the belt tension in the older boats, there is this machine screw here, and you had to reach in at your rectangle hatch in between your legs here. You reached in with an Allen screw or an Allen wrench, and you loosened this machine screw here. And then what you did is on the top of the tube, you can see there's a black line there. It's probably hard to see on camera, but all of them have that black line. And when that black line is straight up and down, The belt system was as loose as possible. And to tighten the system, what you did is loosened your machine screw here, and then you were able to twist the tube. And when you rotated the tube, it would expand the whole system, which would tighten your belt because it's moving everything apart inside there. And how that works is the end of this tube is cut at an angle. And then where it meets up at the back here is also cut at an angle. So when that line is straight up and down, they're nesting perfectly together. And as you rotate that tube, it is working its way around here, which is moving the tube apart from this end here and stretching the whole system. And then when you get that line pointed straight down and it's 180 out, that is the tightest this belt system will go. And so it was a little bit of a pain to adjust the belt. You know, we got good at doing it here at the shop. If you ever hear your 360 system getting super loud, it is probably your belt has a little bit of slack in it, or you can feel some slack in the handle here. You definitely want to tighten it and prevent it from getting too much slack before it pinches on itself, and then you end up with breakage there. So on the new XR system, they made it a lot easier to adjust the belt. So let's look at that now. So we talked about how you adjust the belt on the previous Hobie Pro Angler 360s. Now let's talk about how you do it on the new XR. So to do it on the new XR is very, very simple. What we have is this knob here, and this knob has numbers on it from 0 to 5. 0 being the loosest the belt would ever be, and 5 being the tightest the belt will ever be. They do come preset from Hobie. So you can see this boat I just built, it is already set at a 2. So they have adjusted this to a 2 at the factory when they are building this boat here. But to adjust the tension, you just rotate this knob. And so I just loosened the belt there by adjusting it back to a 1. And to tighten it up, I'm going to tighten it to a 2. What I really like about this system is that it's a little bit easier to feel how tight the belt is getting. So for instance, when I'm on a 2 here, I can go back to a 1 fairly easy, and from 1 to 2 fairly easy. If I want to go to 3, I can get it to go to 3, but it's really tight to get it there. And that is probably going to be too tight and put a little too much stress on the system. If you got to use 2 hands to move that, or if it's really tight to go up to the next number, you know, you're probably good on your tension. And it's going to make it really easy to, on the fly, if you feel that belt getting loose, or periodically from time to time, you can check that belt tension and make sure that it is tight enough and that you're not going to get slack in your system. And then they also have changed a few things. You'll notice this knob here and this lock here, and we'll talk about those with the drive-in. So another feature they have added to the new XR 360 is this locking feature on the drive. So when I just pulled this knob up, just like that there, that locks the drive straight. So now if we come back to the handle here, I can't turn this. And the nice thing about this is it's going to lock the drive straight, so it's going to take the wander out of the drive. On the older 360s, if you pedaled one really vigorously, you might see your arrow wandering a little bit, and you're losing some forward speed when the boat is wandering. There was a clutch adjustment on the older ones that you could tighten that up if it was moving too much, but it is nice on this one. You're going to be able to lock it straight, and it's going to be just as efficient as a 180 drive. So it should make this boat just as quick as a 180 when, in my opinion, I always felt that the 360s were maybe a little bit slower because not all of your momentum was going forward because the drive could wander a little bit there. And then the last feature they added is this red guy here. So what this does, so when we push that back down, the drive is back to its normal 360 position. So we can twist the handle here and move the drive around like normal there. The last feature in this well is this red tab here. And what that does is, if say we have a belt issue, say we have a belt failure or a belt jam up, and we have the drive stuck 90 degrees off right now, we're not able to remove the drive. So on the older 360s, this was a big issue. If your belt failed and your drive wasn't going straight forward, you're not going to be able to get that drive out of the well. And actually the easiest way is to get out of the boat in the water to actually rotate the drive, which is a little bit of a safety factor, especially if you're offshore with the boat. Now we can pull out on this lever here. It is tight when they are new. You want it to be tight anyways, because it's only for, I would say, emergency use. And then you push this down into a third position, and we can now rotate this knob. And we can rotate the drive by hand. It has disengaged the belt system. So we can rotate that drive by hand with the knob. We're able to remove the drive, which is gonna be nice. So if we have to fix anything, we can remove the drive. So with this disengaged and we rotate the drive back to straight, that means in a situation, an emergency situation where we have our belt binding or has failed on us, we can get the drive back straight. We can then remove the drive. Then from here, we can rotate this and lock it all the way up to that locked position. We can now reinsert the drive, and the drive is gonna work totally fine forward, and we can pedal back for a long distance with that drive in the forward position, which is a really nice feature, especially for my saltwater users. We had a situation with a 360 drive where it had some belt issues out on the water, and it had a clutch issue, and the person was pretty far offshore, and we were able to actually fix it on the water and get them back in. But this is just going to be a really good fail-safe that you're going to be able to get back in no matter how far away you get in your kayak. All right, guys, thanks for watching. I know this video got pretty technical on the differences between the two, but I think it's important to really show, what Hobie has changed. I'm mostly excited that, the new XR version, what I've learned from talking to the engineers at Hobie is that the tolerances in the belt system have gotten a lot tighter. And what that means is more consistency with the belt system, and overall, I think that's gonna lead to less belt failures. I love the 360. I think it is the most maneuverable kayak. Once you try one, it is hard to go back to a non-360 drive because of the maneuverability it gives you. But we did see some belt failures. Now, we do have some older model year 360s in stock, and we've got them discounted $1,000 off of the MSRP. So if you are interested in those, once you get that belt system tuned properly, you're not going to have a lot of issues with it. The new XR system is awesome. We have those as well. The only other difference for 2024, they do have some new colors, so you can check those out on the website. If you have any questions, give me a call or visit our website or come by the store, and we'd be more than happy to get you out on a demo or talk to you more about the differences between the boats or any of the Hobie models. Thanks for watching, guys. We appreciate all the support from our customers.